Chapter 3 Standoff. I thought about going back to sleep, but I couldn't. Since I'd arrived in this village, I felt like I was falling down a rabbit hole, or rather, a wolf's den. My dreams were getting more and more vivid, and I was scared. I needed to talk it over with someone I trusted. Cornell knew a lot about the forest and spirituality, and he seemed like me. The sun had just set, and the moon wasn't up yet. The forest loomed on the horizon. The activist camp was somewhere there. I soon ran into Bartek and Anya. "Oh, Maia, good to see you," she said. "We need to talk." "We're worried about you. Since we got here, you've looked distressed. I've asked around, and it seems like you're associating with some dangerous people." "They know something about me. Something I don't know," I answered, "and I need that information." "I appreciate your concern, but this is something I have to do on my own." Anya looked at me stubbornly. "You won't get rid of me that easily." And we walked together. Bartek followed us without any discussion. The camp had a different vibe than the logging site protest. There were more people there. We looked around, trying to take it all in. The people in the camp seemed quite cheerful. I heard 3 or 4 girls singing together in a unique Eastern European style called the White Voice. It was the most melodic, throaty growling I'd ever heard. I stopped and just got lost in the music for a long while. People were milling about, setting up camp, cooking, preparing posters. Everyone was busy. "I have no idea what your plan is," said Bartek, "but you have my full support." "Hello," I said as I approached. Cornell smiled at me. "Hello," he said. "What brings you here?" I needed answers. I shrugged and dug my hands deeper into the pocket of my jeans. I have so many questions about myself, the forest, and the logging. Cornell looked at me with those uncanny gray eyes. I could feel his attention lock on me. "It's okay," he said. "Join us and you'll understand. We're here to stop what's happening, to show that we don't agree and we hope to make a difference." "Will it work?" I asked. "I don't know. All I know is that it worked before. It worked for Gandhi. It worked with segregation and apartheid in the end. It worked with communism. So let's see if it works with capitalism as well. Violence is not an option here. And I think you know quite well that anger doesn't really get shit done." I smiled back. Somehow being around him made me feel more relaxed. "I know. You can count on me," I answered. I had a chance to make a difference, but I couldn't just be an observer anymore. "So, we may have a little citizen protest going on tonight," Cornell said, "but I'll need your support if we want to convince the others." The tipping point. They all wanted to do something that night, but after a whole day's discussion, they were still divided on what to do. I had the deciding vote. I voted for the peaceful protest, and soon we were on our way to the National Park Headquarters and Education Center. We had some banners to install. Bartek hesitated for a long time, but he joined us in the end. "I'm only coming because my dad is out tonight, and he won't see me coming in late," he mumbled. I guess Anya's along. "This is so exciting," Anya whispered. "I've never done anything so illegal." As we were on our way, I realized that we followed the path only because of my vote. I made a difference. The national park headquarters were located in something called Palace Park. The name, like everything in Poland, was historical. Centuries ago, some king had his hunting lodge there, but now it was a mishmash of old and new buildings scattered around the park. Some were rough and bulky, made of stone and brick, while others were an extravaganza of wooden porches, lace-like shutters, and meticulously sculpted pillars. There was no one around, but the area was well lit. This wasn't your everyday act of vandalism. This was something bigger. More important, yes, but also more dangerous. Getting arrested in Poland didn't seem like a great way to start my visit. In fact, it could be the end to it. Suddenly, I remembered the church located just next to the Palace Park gate. I could feel its dark silhouette looming in the darkness, waiting. They'd spent the whole day painting the sign on a length of material sewn together from what looked like old sheets that were various shades of grayish white. The dark green letters declared, "Wood is the enemy of the forest." "Where do we hang it?" asked Daniel, who'd come equipped with his climbing gear. "Remember the church near the entrance of the park?" I gestured towards the gate. "We could go there and hang the sign there. It would drive the message home." He paused, looked at me doubtfully for a minute, and then smiled. "That's bold. I like the way you think." Lisa cleared her throat. "If you want to antagonize the whole village, then yeah, sure, that's the best way to do it." "It doesn't matter," Olga said, "because hanging the banner is the waste of time." I looked at her, curious what kind of advice she could offer us. Oh boy. Olga looked at me as though she expected me to say something, but I didn't take the bait. "It's a great banner, and I'm sure it'll look good on the pictures published by a number of independent political blogs. But it's stuck so deep into the overeducated ecological dispute. What people won't get it, and the loggers won't care." Cornell sighed and shook his head. "Why are you here? Seriously?" Lisa asked suddenly when Cornell disappeared around the corner. The whole group was strained with hidden tensions. "To protect the Pioche," I said after a while. "I can't just stand by as the logging happens. I feel like the forest expects me to do something. And I needed to do something. Anything, to be honest," I explained. "I mean, there's this energy in me, and I just have to let it out sometimes." She smiled like she understood perfectly what I was talking about. Finally, we pulled the banner up. "My father will have a stroke when he sees this," Bartek let out a pressed laugh. "It's an important message." Anya looked up with fire in her eyes. "The world must know." I looked at the sign flying high over the park. When we finished, Cornell gathered us together. I was proud of what we'd accomplished. Maybe it was my destiny to find a peaceful solution to the conflict? Cornell reached for his bicycle. "Let's go for a trip," he said, "to remind ourselves what we're trying to protect." The woods were full of stars. We cycled in silence, enjoying the company of the forest as it enjoyed ours. After some time, the place of power opened up before us. The boulders looked relaxed. A soft breeze rustled in the trees, welcoming us. "We should have stayed at home," whispered Bartek, and the whisper carried in the air. "This is not a good night to be out here." His nervousness was getting to me. The energy was still there, I knew it, but it couldn't reach me. Not if I didn't allow it to. "Do you guys feel that?" I looked at my companions, but before anybody could answer, a loud sound tore through the silence. A gunshot. Anya gasped, looking around, wide-eyed and terrified. The others tensed up, but they didn't look concerned, just confused. "We have to get out here immediately." Bartek's whisper was frantic and scared. "There's a hunting party out here." Cornell turned towards us, like he'd finally put something together. There was a rustle, and I saw a bunch of men in camo, each of them with a rifle, coming toward us between the trees. I watched their angry steps and listened to the murmured curses. Something was strangely familiar. The man at the front looked exactly like an older version of Bartek. He weighed us up for a moment, then focused on Cornell. "This area is closed for the night," the huntsman said in Polish. There was contempt in his voice. "There is a hunt going on, and y'all are trespassing. We have police officers here, so I would go home if I were you, unless you want to get arrested." I felt the forest tense up. The man was the one who was trespassing. This man, I realized, was no one. He wasn't important here. What was important was the forest and what it needed. And it cared about me and didn't want me to get hurt. There would be other nights and other people to fight. But right then, I felt that it wanted me to leave. I ran, the air in my lungs boiling, my skin slick with sweat, and the darkness thick around me. Anya and Bartek were running just behind me. Or so I hoped. We left the shouts and gunshots long behind us, but we couldn't stop. Something was chasing us. Two silhouettes, one lean, the other bulky. I saw them in the corner of my eye as they leapt forward. At first I thought they were people, but as they leaped they got longer. Longer, smaller. I couldn't see clearly. It was dark, sweat was blinding me, and they were hiding behind the trees. I heard howling and growling, and then I saw there were wolves chasing us. I stopped in the middle of the path and turned to face the animals. I couldn't explain why, but I knew it was the right thing to do. "What are you doing?" whispered Anya, terrified. Bartek grabbed her wrist and pulled her off the path. I looked at the wolves. They looked at me. I heard a rustle in the leaves, and then there was a voice in my head. "My little Thurge." I knew that it was the Pusha, and that she was pleased with me. I also knew that Thurge meant wisdom. "We're the same," I realized with shock. "You and I." The wolves dispersed, and then something happened, something I couldn't see clearly, and two people stepped out of the bushes. I knew both of them. "Wait, she has the right to know." Cornell grabbed Olga's arm. "One of us is going to bite you," she said matter-of-factly. "And then you will die," Cornell added. "One way or another. It's your destiny." There was a series of wet cracks, like skin breaking, torn from within by muscles that suddenly grew, by bones rapidly getting longer, by fur and teeth and claws. When I dared to look, I saw two 8-foot-tall monsters standing in front of me on the narrow path in the forest. "Fuck," I managed to whisper. Ouch. The pain was unbearable. Nothing in my life had prepared me for this. Blinded by the blood in my eyes and the searing pain in my shoulder and chest, I could only laugh. This wasn't what I'd expected from this trip. You spend so much time planning, only to see your whole life crash and burn. All I could do was laugh. So I laughed, grinning with bloodied teeth until my strength left me and I couldn't hold myself upright anymore. The forest caught my fall in a bed of moss and twigs. I stopped thrashing, and a cold numbness engulfed me. I punched the earth, trying to get some feeling in my hands. I gritted my teeth and tried to get up. I collapsed again. I felt so cold. Suddenly, there was light. I looked up. The full moon. The moon was a goddess, and she noticed me. "Get up," she said. I got up. I feel good. I know that I shouldn't, but I don't remember why. I don't care. My muscles are sore and cramped, so I stretch like I've never stretched before. My arms are longer. My legs are stronger. My heart is pumping, and I feel like I've spent my whole life packed into a box and I've finally been set free. My mind is clearer than it's ever been before. I see the world in sharp contrasts of black and white, movement and stillness. I smell prey. I hear language in the hooting of owls, the whistling of the wind, and the snarling of wolves. My fate has found me. I take a breath and feel my ribs and muscles move. The forest smells of blood and fear and excitement. I laugh happily, and others' laughter joins me. We laugh and sing to the moon. Something stings me. There's a small, malformed creature pointing a stick at me. The stick blazes with fire and there's another sting. The creature is no threat to me, but its presence is annoying. Its smell almost sends me reeling, and I don't like being pricked. I push the creature away, and it flies through the air making funny noises. Then it hits a tree and stays there, pinned to a branch like a butterfly. My ears prick, and I hear more creatures running blindly through the bushes. My leg no longer stings, and I feel better than ever before. Maybe it's a dream, I think, as I move silently through the undergrowth. The creatures are running away, their backs turned to me. I watch them and learn how they move. Suddenly, one of them turns my way. We lock glances. I look at it, and the creature curls up, shielding its face with its palms. Pause. It keeps talking, but the noises make no sense. It annoys me, but I ignore it and move on. Piercing light burns my eyes. The creatures surround me. They seem to work like a pack. They are dangerous. I am too smart for such an ambush. I claw my way through the nearest creature and disappear among the trees. The frustrated shouts make me laugh. The wind brings a new smell. The air tastes of fur and musk and blood. Shapes move among the trees, but they are no creatures. They are people like me. Suddenly, I'm surrounded by them. I think I know them. They seem familiar. It's like I met them in the past, but they were hidden. They close in on me. What do they want? The hair on my neck stands on end and I growl at them. But my voice sounds like a whimper, and they just look at me from above. "Run with us," they say. And we hunt together, and there's joy. There are no words to describe the thrill of being part of a pack and closing in on your prey and tearing it apart. Then I get lost chasing something only because it's escaping. I am alone in the heart of the forest. I look up and see no moon, only clouds and tangled branches. Something changed, and I realized how tired I was. I stumbled. Nothing was okay. The night sky was full of stars. Confused, I opened my eyes. The forest around me was thick and dark. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, were covered in ripples of lichen where the vines hadn't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base were overrun with nettles. The fungi radiated with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms clung to the fallen trees. I couldn't think straight, but I knew that something wasn't right. I looked down and saw my hands covered in a dark substance. I was naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid was clinging to my skin. I could feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. There was a whisper. The word resonated in my head. Garu. I remembered my dream and slowly lifted my eyes. There was a severed head right in front of me. The face was contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open, the tongue stuck out. It was obscene. I doubled over, retching. I recognized that face. It was one of the hunters, the one that had tried to stop me. The head watched me with a reproach. No! I let out a long, blood-curdling scream. The night swallowed it. The bushes rustled, and a moment later I saw Cornell coming out from between the trees. He looked at me, at my head, at my face. He came closer and squatted beside me. "This is what we were trying to tell you." His gray eyes smiled. "See? You're a werewolf." I looked at him. I blinked. Everything faded to black. Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you all so much for your patience with my hiatus. I have had an injury to my shoulder, a torn superior labrum, also known as a slap tear. Basically what it is the cartilage in my right shoulder, where it cups around the ball socket of my, humerus, is torn so that it doesn't sit flush against my shoulder anymore. Which means there's a lot less stability and there's a lot of pain. I kept most of my range of motion, but unfortunately being on a computer for a prolonged period of time tends to hurt, and I can't exactly tell my work, hey, I'm not going to do anything. So I decided to go ahead and take a break. I came back to Werewolf the Apocalypse because since it's a visual novel, it doesn't require a lot of quick action and everything like that. I actually have my mouse on the left side of my keyboard right now, and I'm using my left hand to use it. But anyway, thank you as always for watching the video. I also moved, by the way. A lot has honestly happened. Follow my Twitter at Sherrod_ or... the Geek's Perspective on Facebook. I'm rambling a little bit at this point, but again, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for your support and for your patience, and I will see you in the next chapter. Have a beautiful night.